Welcome back, my pupils. This is Gene coming to you with Reloading from the Hot Pot. Haha, how are you all today? Me, I'm doing A-OK. Now, I'm going to do a little video series about casting, ingot mold making, recycling old lead wheel weights into pretty bullets. So, this is a little collection of what I use to do my ingot making with in my lead processing. So we're going to continue on with this little series. Now there's another YouTuber named Elvis Ammo. I'm going to start leaving a link below to his channel because this guy knows way more than I do about it. But I'm going to show you how I do it and the different things that I use during the processing of it. I'm a very lucky guy, and my best friend, I mean, we're talking like from high school, actually owns an automotive repair and tire shop. So whenever he gets a bucket full of wheel weights, he calls me. Now these will have to be separated out, and the lead separated from the steel, the zinc, and the plastic. There's usually a 30 to 40% loss in the other wheel weights outside the lead because, well, lead wheel weights are getting quite scarce. But I've got several of these buckets, so each one's about half full. I got about 4 of them. So all total, I got about 10 gallons of unprocessed wheel weights, which would probably yield me 6 to 7 gallons of actual lead, which is a lot. That's enough to keep you in bullets for a minute. Now, before I start handling anything, I have a specific pair of gloves that I wear for handling lead. And they are these here. They are rubber coated and they're red. So I remember that these are only for processing lead. I don't grab them up and use them for anything else. But I handle them by the elastic part of it with my bare hands. I put them on nice and gently and kindly, take them off kindly. That way I'm not contaminating myself because lead is toxic over time. I also keep nitrile gloves around just in case. You never know, you want to grab something quick. I keep a box of these around. I also keep a pair of welder's gloves just in case I have to handle anything hot. Extra pair of like yard gloves just for general purpose use. I have my Lee ingot molds. For extracting the wheel weights, I'm not going to start breaking down wheel weights today, but for extracting the wheel weights, I do use one of those deep fry mesh food extractors. I find this to be, I mean, this has seen a lot of lead, and I find this just to be more convenient for me. I tried the slotted spoon, and I didn't care for it. As you can see over there, I also have a big pair of channel locks, another spoon, and a ladle, and another tray. After I make the ingots, I drop them on the cement here in the garage. I'm outside in the open air, well, on the edge of the garage. I drop them on the cement to cool. Then I use the welder's gloves to pick them up and put them onto a baking tray. And the baking trays are just from Walmart. I mean, the dollar store, cheap, cheap, cheap. You know, I'm a guy on a budget, you know. My pot, I use a Dutch oven, a cast iron Dutch oven, as you can see here. I also use a turkey fry base. Elvis Ammo was showing one that actually, I mean, intensifies the heat. It's got an oxygen air intake on it to actually get it up there. But for my purposes, I find this to be just fine. I'm not processing 100 pounds at a time. I'm probably doing 30 pounds at a time. So this Dutch oven serves me just well. And I found this actually at a thrift shop. So we're going to get this fired up, get some lead going, and I'll be right back. Now while we're waiting on this pot to get a little bit hot, what I'm actually doing today is I'm reprocessing a lot of the ingots that I've made. It was early when I first started doing this a few years ago, And I went absolutely crazy and just made hundreds of pounds of ingots. Well, I found that I didn't get a lot of the contaminants out of it. So I want to talk about something else too. Now there's a difference in wax. A lot of the like tea light candles and things that I'm finding. Oh, here, let me back that up. Under the processing of lead, it takes carbon to draw the contaminants out of it. Well, some of the channels I've watched actually use sawdust, wood fibers, paper towels. Some use candle wax to help purify the lead. Well, I kind of do my own little combination, and I use both. So any kind of candle will work. These are just little candles here. This is pure wax. You want to be careful and not use the soy candles or any soy combination. I have found that this does not work very well, and a lot of the ingots that I first made for my bullet casting, actually I learned that it was a soy wax combination. So the ingots didn't come out quite well. I would get ingots that look like this. They get a crack in them, they've got a sandy finish to them, and to me, that's probably contaminants. So every time I put one of these in my pot, I flux it with sawdust, wood chips, and then wax, and I get a lot of contamination off of this. So I'm going to try to help eliminate some of this process by reintroducing these to the pot and reprocessing these. Now the melting point of lead is 621 degrees Fahrenheit. So I've got a thermometer, which is a food grade thermometer. Through the homework and the research I did, these have to be accurate, for food. That way you don't get sick eating raw meat or raw fish or anything else, or raw turkey or anything else you're doing with this. So I use a food thermometer for this. I know they make specific thermometers for metal, for lead melting, but I found that, I homeworked it a little bit, found out that they're most generally accurate, so I use one of those. So I'm going to get some more ingots in this pot, and I'll be back. Now, as I'm picking up these ingots, from all my research and everything that I've seen, and I grew up making lead fish sinkers with my grandfather. If you can see the difference here, I don't know if you can see that or not. You can see this one's got a sandy, grainy finish to it, and this one has got more of a shiny finish to it. Now, this one has been purified to the point I can put it in my pot and just do a flash fluxing to it, and I'll be fine. When I use these, I'm having to flux a lot, and I'm getting a lot of contaminants off of the lead. So that's why we're reprocessing these. Like I said, I didn't know the difference between the soy and the wax candle combinations, and I believe that had something to do with it. I mean, that's my thoughts on it. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Give me some information. I'm always willing to learn and listen. There's my first batch of reprocessing ingots. We all learn from our mistakes and our misdoings, and today, well, I'm going to share mine with you because I want to do this right. I said I did not know the difference between the wax and the candles, the soy combinations, and I was buying those little tea light candles, those ones you put like under your scented candle burner and stuff. So let's wait till this melts out. We'll get a good temperature reading of it. We'll get it to temp. We'll start fluxing it, and we'll start making new molds, new ingots in the molds. You know what I mean. These turkey fryer bases work really, really well. They're economical, and you can find them at just about any kind of home store. Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, Walmart. Hate Walmart. But you can find them just about anywhere, and they do work very efficiently. I can already start to see lead melting in the bottom of the pot, and it's only been a couple minutes. Now we're up to about 530 degrees right now, and the lead is already melting. At 621 degrees, all this lead in this pot should be all melted down. Just taking a temperature reading. keeping up with my pupils out there. If you look really close at this lead melting, you can already start to see a lot of the contaminants that are on top right here start to form. And that's just remelting these ingots. Like I said, I just went on a tangent and was melting as much as I could. And I was not aware of the soy wax combination in the candles for the fluxing I was using. And I believe this has something to do with it. I mean, I could be wrong. Please comment below on this comment I'm making. And hell, let's all learn together. Now, the lead's melted. I'm gonna turn the heat down a little bit just to maintain it. It's already at temperature. Now you can see these contaminants coming off of here, right here. That's a lot of contaminants. So I've got another tray over here that I put that on, and I will dispose of that later. Now that's what I was talking about. So stir the pot nice and gently. Scrape the bottom of it, scrape the sides. I'm going to get as much as I can off here, and then I'm going to wood and candle wax flux it. Now the candle wax fluxing I got from another YouTuber that I follow that does reloading and bullet casting, and we're going to see how it works. Now for this pot, I'm going to use a nice handful. Just because, you know, you really can't use too much because you're just going to scrape it off. But I'd rather have a little too much than not enough in this process. And we're just going to let that sit there and smoke, burn, and do its thing, as its carbon is going to help draw all the remaining contaminants out of this lead that I am reprocessing, because there's just some things I didn't know that I do now. Let it burn, it's okay, it's turning it to char, which is going to help draw the contaminants out. Now because we're dealing so close with it, I did put a welder's glove on, just because the heat coming off the pot, those other gloves do get quite hot. We're letting this cook down and char really, really nice. You can see how that big old pile of wood chippings. It's not really sawdust, it's just wood chippings I get from a buddy of mine's shop. Does a lot of planing and things. So I just go over and get me a bucket every now and then. But all that's cooking down really, really nice. I'm not in a hurry with this process now. I've learned from some of my mistakes and my rambunctiousness. If you knew me, you'd know. I get onto something and I just dive head first into it. And, you know, like everybody else in life, sometimes we make mistakes with it. And I did make some mistakes with this, so I'm here to share that with you. Just stirring it up, scraping the bottom of the pot, sides of the pot. Hope you don't find this video too boring. I'll try to keep it more to the point with each section that I do. So I'm going to get this all scraped off of here, and I'll be back with the wax. Now I'm going to throw a stick of this wax in there. This is pure wax. It's unscented, it's just colored. I really don't think it matters. Some say you need to do this, some say you don't need to do this. So I just, I'm going to do both. And I did read it before I'm going to put this in there. There's no soy content in this candle here. So I'm just going to throw that on top there. Let that do its thing. Ooh, it's going to catch fire, smoke. There we go. Watch it burn. Now this is why I do it. You can see on top of this, you can see these other contaminants coming out of it. Now when I process it with the wood chips and or sawdust and the wax, I tend to get another little batch of contaminants out of that, which is why I do it. You know, following the advice of several different casters, reloaders, and then doing your own little thing, it's not a bad thing. So I think this is just about ready for ingots. I like to get as much of it as I can off of there. We're going to start processing some ingots now. You always want to take some kind of precaution in this. You are dealing with hot lead. So I'm going to wear this welder's glove, and I've got my ladle, which I just bought at the local store. And I'm going to start filling these ingots up. I like the Lee ingots because they give you the pound and half pound. Sometimes you don't need to add a full pound to it. Sometimes you just need a little splash with a half pound. Be very careful with this. Have something underneath your ingots. Don't want to make a mess. Ingots don't have to be perfect, they're just going to be remelted down again. If you're getting the lead process that's sticking to the ladle itself, you've probably got too much contaminant in it and you might want to stop and reprocess. I learned this through doing it. I've only got 3 molds, so we'll have to wait for those. I think these are about ready to turn out. See how they've got that nice dull finish to them? So we're going to spit them out onto the cement here. And that's what the ingots should look like. Should have that nice shiny feature to them with that lead. Doesn't take long for it to solidify. Look at those. Now those are pretty ingots. Pretty ingots. Now as I was pouring these, I noticed this. You see this here? It's around this edge, and it's not around this edge or these other edges. I got some contaminant on top, and I scooped it up instead of scooping it to the side, and I poured it in there to show you that little edging right there. I believe that to be contaminants. So when I would put that in my Lee 20-pound pot, that's going to come up back up to the surface. And I'm trying to minimize this as much as possible. Now because of that, I went ahead and I refluxed my pot with some more wood shavings. And now I've got nice pretty lead on top. Like I said, I'm just trying to keep the contaminants down to a minimum. That way the reloading process and the bullet making process goes a lot smoother. And we like things to go smooth. See how nice and pretty that lead is going in there? None of those edges on it, and that's what we're looking for. Just keep everything nice and smooth. Through the process of making ingots, I do like to go ahead and scrape my pot a couple times. I do find contaminants do come to the surface as you're working with it. So scraping your pot repeatedly, there's nothing wrong with it. Do it to your heart's content. This is just my way of doing it. Everybody's got their own little tricks and things that they do. This is mine. So grab my ladle again. So I want to keep this lead as pure as possible. From everything that I've read on it and understand about it, it does increase the BHN of it, which is the Brinell hardness, by keeping contaminants out of it. Well, I'm done with this process for the day. This here is about 59.5 pounds of ingots, give or take. You know, can't get exactly a pound in one of those, or exactly a half pound. So we're going to say about 60 pounds. Didn't take any time at all. I've only been out here in the garage processing this and making this video for about 35-40 minutes. And that is enough lead to make a lot of bullets. We like bullets. So a lot of people are just now getting into this because of the lack of being able to buy ammunition. And I just want to share with you. Like I said, I seen Elvis Ammo doing a series on casting lead and processing it and some different things with the reloading. So maybe I can reach some people that he's not reaching. And if you don't know who Elvis Ammo is, check the link below. The link below. And I'll leave a link to his channel. I'm going to do a few more of these videos before I release them, and I will release them in a series. But this is the first one. The next one, I'm actually going to go through and show how to separate wheel weights and how to look for the zinc. The steel and the plastic are very obvious, but the zinc is a contamination problem with processing lead. And I'll explain all that in the next video. So until then, my pupils, take care and always remember to keep blowing the smoke.